Hello everyone. In this tutorial we explain how to properly install Docker on Ubuntu. Before I start with explanations, I need to mention the following, and this is very important to keep in mind. Docker comes in two flavors. First of all, you have Docker Engine, and in this tutorial we explain how to install Docker Engine. However, on top of that, you also have Docker Desktop, and Docker Desktop is a more complex software than Docker Engine. That is, you have two possibilities. You have Docker Engine, which we are now installing, and you also have Docker Desktop. I created a separate video tutorial explaining how to install Docker Desktop on Linux Ubuntu. Now, the nice thing over here is that you can have both Docker Engine and Docker Desktop installed on your system. Docker Engine is lightweight and it's not so complex to be installed. However, Docker Desktop is more complex to be installed and it requires some time. At the end of this video tutorial, I will also explain that you can switch between Docker Engine and Docker Desktop, and you can choose the version that you want to use in your command line. Now, online you will find thousands of manuals on how to install Docker. However, my advice is to go to the official web page given over here, and then you just need to follow the instructions. So let's go together through these instructions and let's make a few modifications if they are necessary. First of all, you need to have a proper operating system. You need to have either Ubuntu Noble 24.04 or Ubuntu Jammy 22.04 or Ubuntu Focal 20.04. So how to verify your operating system? So open a terminal. And over here in terminal, you need to type lsb _release and with the option A. And over here you can see that I have Ubuntu 22.04. Good. So I can install Docker on this version of Ubuntu. Let's continue. The next step is to uninstall all possible conflicting packages. To do that, you need to execute this command. Now, this command will go over all the packages that are installed or that might be installed and that might be conflicting with Dockers, and it's going to run do sudo apt-get remove, and that's it. So it's a simple for loop. So let's run this just in case to clean everything. Okay, good. And you can see over here I don't have any conflicting packages. Good. Let's continue. Now, you have several installation methods. I will choose the easiest one. I will use the method that's based on the apt repository. And before we install Docker Engine for the first time on our new host machine, we need to set up the Docker repository. And after that, we need to install and update Docker from the repository. So let's do that. First of all, whenever you want to install something in Linux, type sudo apt-get update. And before even doing this, and it's not mentioned in this manual, also run this sudo apt-get upgrade. Okay, so make sure that this is being executed. And wait here, this will take some time. Then you need to do this to install CR certificates and curl. Okay, then you need to do this. Then let's proceed further. This is another curl command which is very important. And notice over here that we are executing everything as super users. This is very important. And the next step is to set the permissions for this file. Okay, and then we need to run this command which will actually add the repository to the apt sources. This is a big command and here it is. It consists of several lines. Okay, and then finally let's run again sudo apt-get update. Okay, so let's install the Docker packages. That is, let's install Docker. Over here you have the latest version or the specific version. Let's choose the latest version, and over here let's execute this. And let's analyze what's written over here. We are writing sudo apt get install, this is standard, and these are the packages. Docker C, Docker C CLI, container, and this package as well as this one. Okay, so let's run this, and now you will see it's going to take around 235 megabyte on our disk, and let's run it. And the next step is to verify that we installed Docker properly. And Docker developers has developed this nice script that will run Hello World program. So let's see. And you can see, and let's analyze this output, and let's see what's written over here. Okay. Unable to find image Hello World latest locally. Okay, so we don't have it locally, so we are pulling it from this repository. Pull complete, download the newer image, and then here is the script, hello from Docker, and this message shows that your installation appears to working correctly. And we can see furthermore, and it looks good so far. Here we need to perform several additional checks and possible configurations. First of all, let's run this Docker version, and you should see this Docker Engine community. You can see the version, and you can see the API version. However, you can see over here permission denied while trying to connect to the Docker daemon socket, and here it is. So what's the reason behind that? The reason behind that is that we didn't run Docker with sudo, that is with the super user privileges. So you need to run sudo Docker version to verify everything, and now you can see, right? We were able to connect to the server, and you can see some additional information over here. Good. This permission issue might reappear later on, and a good strategy is to follow these Linux post-installation steps for Docker Engine, and the web page is given over here. So let's do this, and let's follow. First of all, we need to manage Docker as a non-root user. And let's read this. This is very important to know. The Docker daemon binds to a unit socket, not a TCP port. By default, it's the root user that owns the unit socket, and other user can only access it through sudo. The Docker daemon always runs as the root users. Okay, so if you don't want to preface the Docker command with sudo, you need to create a Unix group called Docker and add users to it. So let's do that. Okay, so first of all, we need to create the Docker group. Okay, so the Docker group already exists. Then we need to add the current user to the Docker group. Okay, this is good. Then you need to log out and log back in so that your group membership is re-evaluated. Okay, and you can also run this command to activate the changes to the group. So let's do this, and let's see what will happen. And then let's try to go back a few steps, and let's try to run everything now without sudo. So what we were writing something like this, Docker version. Okay, now if I run Docker version with sudo, you can see what happened. I was actually able to directly connect to the server, and this is very important fix. Now, if I, for example, close this terminal and reopen another terminal, let's do that. And if I again run Docker version, let's see what will happen. You can see again permission denied while trying to connect to the Docker daemon socket. So I need to log in and log out. Now I restarted my computer, and let's now open a terminal and let's verify everything. So click here, search for terminal. And over here, we need to do the following. We simply need to evaluate or execute Docker version, and you can see that we can connect to the server. This means that we are running right now Docker with sudo. That is my username, that is this user Aleksandar, which is me, can actually access Docker with sudo. Perfect. Here's one final check. Currently, we installed Docker Engine. However, besides Docker Engine, there is a Docker Desktop. Docker Desktop is a much more complex software than Docker Engine. And on some systems, both Docker Engine and Docker Desktop are installed. So let's verify, do we have Docker Desktop? You need to do this, docker context ls. And over here, we can see the following. We only have Docker Engine, because you don't see basically Docker Desktop over here, which is very important, and this is good. You don't need to actually have Docker Desktop to use Docker. However, if for example you see here another thing such that, for example, you see Docker Desktop and Docker Engine, then you might see that this default Docker might be Docker Desktop, so you will not be able to use this version of Docker Engine that you just installed. If that's the case, you can switch between them by using docker context use, and you will specify the version that you would use. And that's it. Simple as that. Okay, thank you all for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you like the videos I'm creating, please press the like and subscribe buttons. Thanks a lot, and have a nice day.